I don't know about this one for you, but what opportunities exist for interprofessional interaction or collaboration among other healthcare professionals, if any?
Actually, one of the things that I've been able to do in this role, one of the things that we're looking potentially to provide is a web portal for prescribers. So in other words, a doctor or an agent of the doctor could go onto a website and say, okay, I have 3 patients that have prescriptions at Medco and they need things from me in order to finish them, and potentially be able to address them online. One of the things that we were able to do is to actually go out and survey doctors and say, if we were going to provide a service like this, what would you want it to look like? How would you best use it? Because there's no need in us building it if nobody's going to use it. So we want to make sure that we provide something that's user-friendly to them and that meets their needs. So that was like a whole new way of interacting with prescribers, particularly because my experience before was, I have a drug interaction I need to talk to you about. You didn't sign this prescription. Can I give it to your patient? This was about professional to professional. How can we work better together so that we're both successful? So that was just a whole new experience for me in working with other healthcare professionals, which is really great.
That's really interesting.
And I guess just drawing on your experience in the hospital pharmacy, and I guess now everything's kind of being shifted towards more of a teamwork approach, a healthcare team. Any kind of interaction, do you think that physicians were receptive to you in the hospital or anything like that?
Well, it always depends on the physician, and I think it's a lot easier now than it was when I started. I think clinical pharmacy and pharmacists being a member of that team, that does the rounds and all that stuff, was still very new when I started. It's not so much anymore. But even today, I find it depends on who you're interacting with. There are a lot of professionals that really do view it as a team approach and want your help and appreciate when you point something out or say, hey, maybe we should think about this, or did you consider this, that kind of thing, and they're very collaborative that way. And then there are others that are just like, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you have to come along because it's a requirement. But so I think there's some of that that's always going to be there.
Okay. Why don't you go into what a PBM is and what Medco is?
Okay, so Medco is a PBM, meaning a pharmacy benefit manager, and what they do, really, in a nutshell, is manage the prescription benefit for the clients that subscribe to them. So they manage the processing of the prescriptions, the paying of the prescription claims. They'll do some formulary work where they'll put a formulary together, and they'll manage that formulary for the plan. Mail order, which is what we do here at Medco, is a big part of PBM because if you can provide mail order benefits to this client and this client and this client and this client, then you get all of this volume, so you can get discounts when you have to buy the medications and those kind of things. So it makes it cheaper to provide the benefit by doing it on a much larger scale. So that's high level what a PBM does. Now sometimes they'll get into clinical management, like the therapeutic resource centers that we have here, some managed care where they'll work with drug companies on rebates and those kind of things. But the primary role is to manage the prescription benefit for the client.
So I have an extra card, so she's counting down how long until that card's empty.
Okay.
So I still start the next card.
No problem.
Should I do it now so it doesn't cut her off?
We have 2 minutes left. Is there a lot of more questions?
Well, I was going to ask where the future is going in pharmacy. Is that a good question to answer to me?
Yeah, I think I could probably do that too. So there's a number of things that I think pharmacy is going to have to account for. One, I think cost is always going to be there. So whatever pharmacy does, it has to do it cost effectively, or it's never going to fly. I think pharmacy is going to move more into preventive type treatment as opposed to after the fact type treatment. So pharmacogenomics, specialty type medications, geared at preventing things from happening rather than just treating them once they do. I think that's going to be huge in the pharmacy industry. And I think if pharmacists really want to pave a way in all of that and in healthcare going forward, it's going to be how do you help solve the problem in healthcare today? How do you make it cost effective? How do you reduce fraud, waste, and abuse? How do you prevent costly things from coming down the line, right? Because pharmacists aren't cheap, you know? I mean, I was just talking to a pharmacist friend of mine yesterday that said, where do you think physician's assistants came from in doctors' offices that, you know, write those antibiotic prescriptions and stuff like that? Because doctors were too expensive for that everyday care that people need. So, you know, pharmacists are going to have to pave that way into the future benefit and the preventive piece, I think, to really prove their value.
Okay, let me switch the card. You actually went in a good direction
Okay.
that I